Christine Denari. How
Hello.
lucky I am to have you at my kitchen table.
Oh my gosh, I'm luckier.
I love you. Let's just start by the elephant in the room. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be live on Facebook right now. And I think there's some mischievous pixies trying to trip up all the good spiritual activists trying to do good work right now, but they don't stand a fighting chance. And
Well,
we're just going to love them to pieces and show up anyway. So, for those of you who are just now seeing this and we're wondering what in the world happened to us at 1 o'clock, that we both, Chris and I, have been blasting out for the last, I don't know how long, apologies. We try to hack the system and this is how we're doing it. So we're showing up in the
well, I witnessed you handling that with grace, so I'm super impressed and thank you. And sorry we couldn't get it live, but we'll have to, maybe try another time as well.
you gotta laugh in these moments and
Yeah.
just know something better is coming from this. I want to say before we get started, I've been so looking forward to this conversation, and that is that the music that you heard in the little video promo, the introduction video, was that of Native American flute maker Jerry Littlejohn. And she just not only creates flutes in a sacred manner, but plays them in a sacred manner. And she plays for a lot of Indigenous elders and the grandmothers, which is how I met her. And I called her and I said, "Hey, Jerry, can I, borrow use some of your music? Because I'm doing the audiobook for the Liminal Odyssey right now. Can I use it to bridge chapters and lay behind?" And she said, "Well, what I'd rather do is compose an album for the Liminal Odyssey that will have the energy of every chapter in it."
Wow.
I mean, come on, right? So this is just fresh. And so I'm like, well, this is a great opportunity to send everybody to her website. I'll put it here in the below in this email. I mean, in this video, and you'll be able to go find Jerry Littlejohn and check out her amazing gift that her divine assignment is to show up in this way. And the other thing that you might have or might not have noticed is the symbol on the front of the promo of this with Christine's beautiful face and Choku Rei, the symbol of the energy of the universe, which is what I had chosen for the first chapter of the book, but it's actually was just a no-brainer to put on your flyer, and every flyer for all of our guests have different symbols, but you've always just, for me, Chris, you always just seem to be in alignment. You always have this kind of calm grace. You use the word grace. I really witnessed you and just walk through even when we were okay. So we were all in high school together. Chris and I went to high school together, and you just had this gate about you, this energy about you that was always just so centered.
Well,
And I
thank you for
appreciate
that.
that.
And for those who don't know, Chokurei is one of the symbols of Reiki, and I am a Reiki master, so I think that's how you're relating it to what I do. So, um,
Totally. Yeah, I can't wait for everybody to hear about what you do and your healing energy arts and the work that you're doing in that way and the offerings that you have. Was it a year ago? I was
no,
in,
it was actually the beginning of COVID, so two
oh,
years. It was 2 years
it's
ago.
all a blur, right? Isn't it a
Okay,
blur?
yeah, it's already July, so of this year, which is crazy. But yeah, it was 2 years ago that this was really the chakra series that I'm doing as a course was birthed because as a Reiki practitioner and massage therapist, my business was shut down because of COVID. And I thought, how can I be of service? And I thought there was a lot of fear around what was happening and people, being closed in and not knowing what to do. That why don't we meet once a week at the beginning of the week and for half an hour and kind of join together and do a little meditation. And that's how that started. And then it moved into, well, let's talk about the chakras. So we did each week a series on the chakra system.
And that blew my mind because I thought I knew kind of about the chakra systems. I did not know the depth and breadth and width of the chakra system. I didn't know about the symbols associated with each chakra and the music notes and the colors, and the way you guided us through that was just impeccable. It was so elegant how you did that, and it changed everything for me. It really did. It
Wow,
really
you're so
helped me.
sweet.
I'm not just saying that because I love you and you're my friend, and I mean I really do have just such an immense respect for you. And this is nothing I know anything really about. I'm really such a baby, so I'm really glad that you're here. And the title of this talk is Understanding the Chakra System. And I really would love for you to kind of guide us through whatever you want us to know, what's calling you to share with us right now.
Yeah, let's talk about just what chakras are and the systems, and it really just comes down to the basic line of energy is everything. We are energetic beings. Everything around us is made up of energy, and chakras are just an energetic system found within our bodies. Like meridian lines the Chinese discovered that run through the bodies, chakras are also. We have many hundreds of chakras in our bodies, but the main chakra system contains seven main chakras. And I'll kind of go through each of those. And as an energetic body, we want balance and harmony in our lives. So when we do chakra work, we do it to balance the chakras and balance our systems. So I like to use the analogy of the chakras run kind of up and down through the center of our bodies. And like a river flowing, if there's no obstructions, the force is strong and steady. If there's a boulder in the middle, or the river turns and makes an elbow, you lose the force of the flow. So the idea of balancing chakras is so that alignment creates a very steady and forceful flow. Does that make sense?
Oh, so much so. And I think right now, when we're in this evolutionary growth spurt, there's so much coming at us. Besides programming, which I want to thank everyone who's paying us the honor of your time watching this video, because there's so much to choose from. There's just this flood of information. There's this flood actually giving rise to a lot of tension. We don't have to spend a lot of time talking about that. But so it's really, really important for ourselves and enlightened self-interest, because what we do for ourselves, we do for the world. So we really have to be aware of what's going on in our body, and then understand how to regulate it, understand how to bring things in. Balance is such an important thing right now.
It is. Balance is really important, and I'll just kind of back up where my understanding of chakras, as well as I was raised in a very spiritual household, so it was more living in the mind, things that the metaphysics of what you think is what you create. And so I felt like I was really raised in the mindset of my body, and didn't pay attention to my body as much. And when I always thought, like, okay, really focus on the third eye chakra, because that's where the intuition is, and that's where the enlightenment, up the upper chakras really happen. And really ignoring the lower chakras, which is so wrong, because the root chakra, which is our first chakra, is the foundation. And if, like any foundation, if that's not strong, then you don't have anything to stand on. I mean, it's wobbly and everything. So could you actually pull up
I
that?
can.
This is a PDF that I'm borrowing from Dr. Sue Morter, who I've done a lot of studying with, and she has a book called The Energy Codes, which deals a lot about the chakras, and she does breath work and yoga positions. So what we're looking at is, again, this is borrowed from Dr. Sue Morter, and she uses this in her presentations, which is the flow of the bioenergetics for healing. And in the middle, in the upper left hand part of this PDF, you see a figure, and standing there, the different colors represent the chakras. And this energy field that's around this person is what they call a toric field, and we all have these toric fields going on. So you see the arrow coming down in through the chakras into the body, hitting the earth and coming around and creating this kind of, it's just a constant moving circle of energy that's around us. And if you look at the bottom right hand figure, where she's showing the chakras are out of alignment, they're not, so the energy that comes down and has to rise back up is wobbly. And she calls this the wobble because, now the energy is wobbly. It creates disharmony. It can create disease. So that's another reason why we want to keep our, chakra system aligned and balanced, to keep us in harmony. So this is a great example of showing how energy works within the chakra system and within and without our bodies. So you can go ahead and pop that off.
You said something that was really interesting to me, how you were paying attention to just your, your higher chakras and, discounting your lower chakras. And isn't that poetic? How much in our head are we?
I think we're way in our head, and it really wasn't until I started deeply studying with Dr. Sue Morter that I came to identify that my body is my communication vehicle. Like, she uses the term "take it to the body." Where are you feeling something? And it just opened up everything for me, and even really, studying more of the chakra system and building on the root chakra. The root chakra is our first one, and it has to do with our ego and our sense of security and our basic needs, our food, water, shelter. How are we taken care of? And I mentioned to you that I kind of wanted to use the chakra system in relation to your book, which I just want to say is filled with the most juicy nuggets of knowledge and insight that I've seen. I'm so impressed, and I remember having a conversation with you, I don't know, a few years back when you were said, "Oh, I think I'm going to write a book." It was not this book. It was a book you said, "Oh, I think it's going to be about the Cronism and something." And so when this book came out, I was like,
the hero's journey. Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
right, okay, so this birthed out of that, I guess. But anyway, so I'd like to kind of relate some of the chakras to some of your chapters, and those who have not read the book yet, please buy this book and read it. It is just a beautiful read, and so enjoyed it. So, like I said, the root chakra is our basic needs, and your chapter on intergenerational trauma and the angel core, which is chapter 9 in the Liminal Odyssey, really to me has to do with the root chakra, because it talks about, we carry all this intergenerational, ancestral stuff through karmic actions, and that's really where it sits within our body is the root chakra. So again, working to heal that is important to heal and grow and strengthen, to build with the next chakra, which is the sacral chakra, which is found just above that. It's below the belly button, in between the root chakra, which is at the base of the spine. So the sacral chakra, to me, corresponds with your second chapter, which was called Grandmother's Wisdom, and the timefulness. And something that struck me about that, the reason I'm corresponding it to that, is you talked about, I believe it was Aristotle's quotes on times, the chronos and kairos. And the sacral chakra has to do with sexuality and creativity, and it reminded me of the kairos time, which is about playfulness and the dream state.
Yeah, you have to be unattached to and be in that child wander. Yeah.
It's not the linear patriarchal or masculine energy that we look at. It's the sacral chakra is more feminine energy, and it's about the creativity, and when we live in that space, beautiful things happen.
And can I just add that Aristotle's quote is that in Kairos time, that it's the time that the truth is revealed.
Yes,
or the time
exactly.
that the truth will be discovered. And sometimes That's a very long time. Sometimes it happens in a hot second. Sometimes it's 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So then, moving on to the third chakra, which is the solar plexus, and that is found at the solar plexus, also known as the power of 1,000 suns. It's where our empowerment in our lives and bodies are.
Mhm.
So I looked at your chapter, Dear Linda, chapter
Oh,
11,
yeah,
um, where you talk about courage in that chapter,
yeah.
and the courage to the courage and discernment, and that kind of a solar plexus energy, where we oh god, what was the quote you said? Fear will paralyze our genius, love will set it free. That's your quote, and it's so true, because going back to the fear of COVID, the beginning of the pandemic, when you said yes, so much fear was around, um, and it can be paralyzing. But when we look to that with love, you know, things change and shift.
Everything changes.
Everything changes.
Yeah.
And so we move from there to the fourth chakra, which is the heart chakra, and then that also correlates with the love. And yeah, of course, the obvious is the heart shaped evidence, chapter 8, the trust frequency. Just really tuning
Oh,
into our hearts and listening, that intuition, and knowing, using the lower, the heart is the, the fourth chakra, and it's the connection between the lower three, which is kind of the earth bound, and the upper three, which is the heaven bound. So it kind of is the anchoring within our chest between heaven and earth.
ah,
Yeah.
and that's where trust resides.
Trust resides there. And
Ah, it's a
and how
spin.
do we trust between heaven and earth? What are the messages that we're getting, and walking forward in that trust? So
Really beautiful.
um, then moving on to the fifth chakra, which is the throat chakra. And of course, it was the abracadabra, the sacred integrity of our creation. And again, loving the word abracadabra, which is, you can tell me in Hebrew what that,
Abracadabra.
which means I create as
I
I
create with,
speak.
I create as I speak.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the manifestation of our thoughts and ideas and the things that come from our heart have to manifest through our throat chakra as well. And speaking our truth and living in our truth. And when we're not speaking our truth or living in our truth, we can have a blocked throat chakra as well.
That for me is the most prevalent place where I feel the block. So I
Mm.
think I'd be interested to know from everybody. And if you want to comment on this too, where do those messages hit you? Because your body is your billboard, it's your alert system, it's such a powerful
For
tool.
me, it's, yeah. Out of all the chakras, my solar plexus is the one that just I know, and it wasn't until several years ago that I stopped drinking that I really was like, what is this buzzing happening in my soul? I mean, I didn't know what it was, and I figured that I had been using substance to kind of to quiet that down and know it. So I'm super aware of what is going on there now, because it's just when that when I get that sensation of that buzzing, I know that I need to pay attention. You know,
Are you referring to the buzzing where you feel like your cells are running amok? Your 37 trillion cells are just bouncing off each other?
no, it
Or,
just feels it's like this electric
oh, yeah.
feeling. I
Ah,
could not. I asked so many people when this was first happening, like, what's happening? What is that sensation? And then when I really kind of, you know, got quiet with it and said, what is this? What is this? Where is this happening? And it was the solar plexus, and it just, and so when there's anxiety in my life, that's where it goes. And that's my empowerment center, right? So if I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling off my empowerment.
these are all gifts from the
Yeah, and
universe.
it's gifts for everyone, because for you say it's your throat, and for someone else it might be their root chakra, or um, their third eye, or something else, some other place in their body. They'll feel it, and that's why it is important to pay attention to what's happening in our bodies. So let me just finish. I'll go through the
Yeah.
the sixth chakra is our third eye chakra, And that is your fifth chapter of Time for Reunion, Sacred Cultivation, and Synchronization.
Ah,
Because that's where the intuition is, and that trust of, I think in that chapter you were talking about, really when you start noticing something, it pops up more. Maybe the example of
yeah.
the hearts, the rock hearts that you were finding on the beach, like, or the four-leaf clovers that, okay, I want to find four-leaf clovers, and suddenly you're looking, or pennies. That was another chapter you talked about.
Yeah, yeah, Linda
You
did.
know,
That's all. Every one of the skills and the things you're referencing here, they're all practices, and we know through
mm-hmm,
neuroplasticity,
mm-hmm,
it becomes a habit. But then also, what happens is our awareness field expands, and
mm-hmm,
we're able to see more lines of connection. This book started out as one story. It started out with what is chapter one. And as I'm writing and paying attention to what's going on in those spaces in between, boom, boom, boom. Now there's 12 chapters,
it's
12 stories.
incredible. I mean,
And you're right.
it's impressive.
Well, but we all have that. We all have
Mm-hmm.
that if we slow down to pay attention to those moments, those cracks,
Yes. Yeah.
and allow that Kairos time to
Yeah.
exist. Yeah.
And that's really where meditation comes into this practice,
Mm.
because it is slowing down, and just even the idea of meditation. Some people are intimidated by meditation. They feel like, oh my gosh, I have to, I don't know how to meditate, or I find it hard, or I can't stop my brain from thinking. We're not supposed to not think. We're just supposed to really slow down and become aware of our surroundings. So there's certain techniques that you can use to just really slow down. And there's another analogy I love to use, and I think I'm borrowing this from Dr. Sue as well. It's like a fan above our head, right? When the blades are whirring, nothing can get through. These higher thoughts and motivations can't get through. But when we stop and slow down and slow those blades of our mind whirring, those thoughts can come through much easier, and we move forward with so much more ease and grace.
Yeah. That requires we get out of the head.
Mm-hmm.
That requires that we are aware of those moments
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
get out of our own way. So awareness, I can't say enough about awareness through all of these practices, awareness of what's going on, and don't discount them. And the more you become aware of them, the more they will show up for you, for me, for us. Because what
It's
we
like the
do.
treasure hunt, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
you like, oh, where's the map? I have the map, and then you find the first treasure. It's like, oh, and then suddenly more treasure starts showing up, and
Exactly.
this is what the journey is all about,
Yeah.
and I'll just use the crone example. I mean, at our age, the journey has just been so amazing of 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 this treasure hunt. It's been a long time for me. I found treasure, I reburied it, unearthed it, and now more is coming. And
Yeah.
this is the exciting part of life. It really is. Is to me, it's just that, just the opening up and the awareness, and the more we slow down and become aware, the more joy and beauty arrives in our lives.
It's so, so true and so evident, and it doesn't take long. And it's not really heavy lifting. It just
Mm-mm.
requires not just intention, but will. Um, I was on a call earlier today with a young woman who asked a question, and she goes, what's the practical application of this stuff? Because us Western women, we want things. And we were in a call of all women. And she goes, our culture wants things fast. We want to see quick results. And so we just have to trust the universe and slow down to the speed of awe and wonder and allow it to happen. We have to get out of our own way. And that requires a condition of vulnerability. And when I use that word, I use it carefully to mean paying, like yeah, just like not, or questioning assumptions also, which requires vulnerability. It allows saying, okay, I've just assumed I always had a knot in my throat. Well, whoa, maybe not. And what
Right.
does Christine have to say about that? What are
Well,
the,
just I think going back to the assumptions
yeah,
and what we think is true, and opening up to that awe and wonder and slowing down. And it's an easy formula that it's not easy to follow because we get caught up in our minds. We go back to the mind situation, right? Like our minds control our reality. And when we're letting the mind rule the show, we're on a goose hunt. We're just all over the place. But when we stop and are deliberate about our thoughts and feelings, and the body is part of that equation too, mind, body, spirit. Um, that's when the beauty does happen, and the liminal odyssey and the liminal spaces, um, you know, come from a peephole to a gaping
Grand
portico.
Canyon.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Yeah, it's never ending. And the synchronicities just keep like proliferating like crazy. And to the point where it's like, I just expect a synchronicity now, this meaningful connection between two unique situations that is too meaningful to ignore. Yet with awareness, you can cultivate those synchronicities. So,
I love that, and that's why I loved reading your book, because you say it started with one story and it just unfolded,
uh-huh.
and all these, like I said, these juicy nuggets that you've shared with us are just fun and amazing, and can happen for all of us
Yeah.
if we stop and open up, and that's again what I love about life and this journey.
Oh, that's just me. To hear someone, especially someone you care about, say, I just love life. I mean, it's about following your bliss, right? And we've been duped by patriarchy's charms to believe that we've got to work harder, or to constantly come up with solutions or assumptions that things are a certain way. But, there's this unknown place that's calling us right now. And I got to be crystal clear. I don't want to poison the water hole when I get there because I'm going there with you. We're all in the same
Mm-hmm.
canoe, going to the same place. So I have that not just that opportunity to uncover and just pull apart opportunities and live a life I love, but an awesome responsibility to you, to our community, to my next seven, to all of our generations and relations. So,
Well,
uh,
we chose to come at an amazing time because there is so much transformation happening, and we're part of that. Again, talking about healing the ancestral lineages. I mean, so many people in our generation and our children are really taking that to heart, and healing these ancestral wounds that have plagued generations for so long. And that's great. And I was going to say something else about grandmother Florida Maya, which you talk about. She talks about it's the time we're entering in the time of the Ish, which is the Mayan calendar of the feminine, the age of Aquarius, which is about moving into getting out of the patriarchy, and that system won't work anymore. The Me Too movement. I mean, all of these things that it's not something that just happens overnight. It's this kind of slow trudge, but we are here making a difference for that, which is, I think, pretty cool.
I had a conversation with grandmother Florida Mayo earlier today, and we were talking about how I perceive the era of Ish. And she says, how I perceive, even though she taught me about the era of Ish, it's, the Mayan calendar, that day comes around every 20 days. And it's symbolized by a jaguar and the power and the strength and the agility and the grace, which the jaguar represents divine feminine in that way, and the spots represent the cosmos, so our relationship to the world. And so over the last, I think it's 7 years that I've been having these conversations with her about the era of Ish. For me, it's really dialed in and distilled down to the divine feminine, which is true, it is. Yet she kind of set me back on course today, and something that this is a new discovery for me, that it's really more about our right relation with our entire planet, which basically says the same thing. I heard in an even earlier call, this is really interesting, and where it hit me too was in my throat. Again, everything's hitting me in my throat. What that climate isn't something to solve. It's an indicator that's calling our attention. What we have to solve is our right relation to our planet and bringing it back in balance.
To
Which is,
balance in nature.
and what you offer through your workshops, through your services, how your modalities, you are a mystic mentor, is so incredibly, I really think it's critical, because this is self-care. It's that the overused adage of the oxygen mask. If we aren't in our absolute impeccable grace, and we're gonna poison the water hole.
Yeah.
So
It starts with each of us, and I think you mentioned that before. It's like, we can't, it has to start with us, and then within our family, and then within our community, and then within our city and the state and the country and the world. I mean, we're a global community, and I think we forget that. And I think Mama Nature, kind of put us all on timeout for the pandemic and said, go to your rooms, think about what you're doing. And we all went to our rooms, and look at what happened to the earth. I mean, dolphins were swimming in the Venice canals, and animals were, coming out of the woodwork, and there was growth of nature, and that we haven't seen in decades. And then we all kind of came out of our rooms and said, no, go back to your rooms. And we still, I don't think, have really learned the lesson. But hopefully, some have, and will be the instigators of this constant change that needs to happen.
I love the tools that you offer to help us get there, because we are the change agents when it's convenient and when it's not. And that's when it's important to practice that awareness.
Yeah.
Listen to your body, what's firing. And I love that you have these tools. Can we talk about your ebook?
Yes, please do. This is what I'm offering for free. It's a basic guidebook on the chakras, things we talked about. And it's also the basis for this course I'm offering next month on the chakras. And with each chakra, there is a 10-minute guided meditation with music that my husband created for each chakra in the note that chakra represents. So it's kind of cool. And it's 10
Can I give a little
so,
sneak peek? Oh, I interrupted
yes.
you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish what
No, I
you're
just said it's each meditation's 10 minutes long, so it really serves the purpose for everyone. I think we all can find 10 minutes a day to kind of, ground in and pay attention to the chakra that represents that day.
And like the Dalai Lama says, if you don't have 10 minutes, make it 20.
No, it's actually there's the Zen fable that goes,
Oh.
The student says to the Zen master, well, how long should I meditate every day? And the Zen master says, well, if you're busy, then 10 minutes a day will do. But if you're really busy, then an hour.
Oh, so we've been giving credit to the wrong source.
Well,
Thank you.
Dalai Lama, Zen master, same thing, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I'd love to share this, because this is pretty much what you share to some degree, I
Yes.
think, of what we did together. And for me, this is just so gorgeous. And I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek. You want to just real quickly explain? Let's just do the first chakra.
The way the course will work is it's the introduction to each chakra. So you'll see the symbol. The Sanskrit symbol of and name, Muladhara is what the root chakra is. So you'll see the symbol, the name in Sanskrit, and the corresponding color. So if you move to the next sheet, it just really, it gives you the general characteristics that each chakra holds. It tells you the location, the color of the chakra, the element, the attributes that it holds, some essential oils that are really good if you feel like that particular chakra needs some love and care, crystals that you can use, and the musical note that corresponds with it. Of course, there's other things. There's other parts, other organs in our bodies that correspond. But again, this is just a very basic outline of what each chakra represents.
And the music and the note that you provide during that meditation is stunning. It goes right to the source. So, of course, that makes sense.
Thank you.
I love this. I love this.
Oh yeah, this is I sent you an old version of this. Anyway, so it's sorry, but so anyone who would like this free copy, I think you're going to link it in the notes here, and they can get it. But so there are yoga poses again that help that correspond with each chakra. So in the updated version, there's 3 poses, and then there's silhouettes of what those poses look like.
Oh gosh, I hope I'm sorry if I'm showing the wrong one.
No, I sent you it's not updated, so it's my fault. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And then of course, there's affirmations that we use that represent the characteristic of the chakra. And in the guided meditations, these are also spoken and reiterated, so you get that in the guided meditation, but this is also a written form if you wanted to print it out or look at it, throughout the day.
Affirmations are so important. I mentioned neuroplasticity and retraining our brain. And I highly recommend you find yourself some great affirmations and do these affirmations in alignment with what you're doing through the root chakra. And 5 times a day, 25 times, 5 times a day. Yeah. And bam, before you know it, all, when you're feeling defeated, when you are feeling uncared for, when you're feeling uncentered, bam, these will pop right into your mind. It works. So, but if you want to see the rest of them, they have to go where?
They are going to my website, which is a new one under construction. My Healing Energy Arts is still up, but that really has to do with a lot of the body work things that I've done in the past. I'm moving a little bit away from that work and doing more mystical mentoring. So ChristineDenari.com is the new website. Christine, ChristIne, Denari, DENARI.com. And if you click on the free guidebook, it'll take you to an email sign up. If you sign up there, then it will be delivered to your inbox directly.
Okay, perfect. And we'll make that very clear for everybody to find it very easily.
Great.
I just love this conversation. I wanted to do these kitchen table conversations because since COVID, I haven't had anybody at my kitchen table, and these are where the juiciest and richest conversations come from. And I really thank you for being at my table, and hopefully one day you'll be at this table in person.
Yes, I hope to be there live. It's been way too long, and I am beyond honored to be with you, Sandy, today. I love this book. I think you did a fabulous job, and I want more in-depth conversations with you because it really, it just, there's so much richness in here and layers and discovery. So
thank you,
I really appreciate you having me on for this little portion of the chakras.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.